Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this evening? I decided I'd wait to do my live stream tonight until after the Trump speech. Thought my reaction to it would be a nice live stream tonight. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I jotted down a few things. That's one thing about being a YouTuber now, right? Kind of like a reporter, your own little studio thing. You got to report the news, and that means you got to sit through them speeches. And I tell you what, I was like, God, I wish I could just fast forward this, because some of it was, you know, the blame game. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So come on and join the Hidden Truths, and let's talk about what's going on. Hey, Jeff, what's up, my friend? Hey, did you watch the speech? Woo! Woo! Talk about the old blame game. Anyway, we're going to wait for a few other people to show up, and then we'll start discussing it a bit. But yeah, I tell you what something to say before Christmas. Sounds like, and then everybody was expecting Venezuela and stuff like that. I don't understand the blockade of. Anyway, we're trying to sit there and open up a hornet's nest that we can't afford. My goodness gracious, he sits there and talks about how we're making so much money, right? Well, we're going to go into that, okay? Because I got a few things, like I say, where I want to counter some of his arguments. Anyway, but yeah, I tell you what, YouTube's probably not going to push this. I'll give it another minute. Once I see the count going up, we'll get into this. But yeah, I tell you what, having to listen to a politician these days, it doesn't matter what side they're on. Hate speech. They talk about hate speech. What would you have called the first couple minutes of that speech? I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I'm a constitutional conservative. So, whatever. But yeah, it was quite the little speech, wasn't it? But let's get into it. Hey, thank you for the super chat there, Jeff. I appreciate it. You sure helped me out. You're a good subscriber. Let's get into it though, okay? I knew the speech was going to be basically a nothing burger, where Trump was going to come out and don't make it sound like I'm a Trump hater, okay? I voted. And it wasn't for Kamala Harris, and I feel like I got kicked in the gut. But like I say, Trump's ego, I knew of Trump's ego since the 1980s when I was growing up. So why am I surprised? Why should I be surprised? But it just seemed like the president we had the first 4 years is different than the president we got this time. Anyway, but it was just a blame game. All right? The Democrats did this and Biden did this, and they broke, basically saying they broke laws and stuff. Then my question is, how come, Mr. Trump, your Justice Department haven't arrested any of them yet? If they're these criminals that you sit there and try to make them out like they are, which I ain't disagreeing with you, but why aren't you arresting them? American families suffered because of our politicians' policies, losing family members, having to pay higher expenses, putting them up in $300 a night hotel rooms and stuff. Anyway, it was just another thing where you can sit there and slam the Democrats on, nationwide TV, and sit there and say everything they did bad, and there's a lot of other things to the speech that we'll get in after this, what he didn't bring up, which I wish he would have. But it was just, us Republicans are great, and the rest of you guys are worthless, okay? And then it's, I did this. No, one thing I'm glad he's given the military a Christmas bonus, basically. I'm glad to see that. I was in the military. Never had a family when I was in the military, but these, military guys are, they don't make a lot of money. It'd be nice that they can sit there, maybe spoil their kids one Christmas. USMC, the United States Marine Corps. I had to deal with "You Suckers Miss Christmas." That's what it stands for sometime. But anyway, I'm glad they're giving something back to the people. Okay, like in the military, you sacrifice a lot. You give up a lot of rights to serve your country. And I was treated like a Vietnam vet when I got out. So anyway, but that was one thing I was glad to hear he was doing. All right, but just blaming the Democrats, for everything that was bad, inflation, prices, da 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 da. Okay, Trump, have you stopped putting the country into debt? You're going into debt just as fast as they did. Are you going to stop that? That's where we're getting our inflation from, because our dollar's becoming worthless. Just look at the price of gold. It may be at 40. It's hovering just below $4,400 an ounce, and silver was above 66, almost $67 an ounce. Okay, talks about how the economy is so good, how he thinks everybody's got money. I mean, he's constantly having to give billions of dollars to the bank to keep them solvent. We all know the stock market's just monopoly money. If the banks need money from the government, the taxpayers, to keep them solvent, since they can't pay their loans back because they don't have the money, at least they have the money to pay their taxes, so we can give the banks money that way, right? I mean, I don't understand where he's getting that the economy is so great. The Americans are broke. We're all broke. We can't afford to live. I can't even imagine what it's like to have to raise silver 66 an ounce. Yeah, like I said, it almost hit 67. But I can't imagine what it's like to have to raise a family of even 2 children, 3 or 4 children. Let's say you have all boys. My God, it was hard back in the 90s, in the 2000s. I know my kids struggle harder, make more money, work longer hours, and struggle more to make ends meet. And he's talking like we're all got money to burn. I mean, that's the message I'm getting. I'm not understanding it. Okay, I live in small town Main Street. I'm not seeing it. Businesses are closing. And then he's talking about wages going up faster than inflation. Now, that one I'm going to have to check into, because wages would have to go up so much just to get up to where inflation is at now. Everybody's wages would basically have to go up 50% overnight just to get to where inflation's at now. I don't know where he gets some of this stuff. Okay? But you notice he didn't bring up EBT. Now, did he? Or government's Social Security, didn't bring up none of that stuff. The country's doing so great. It's making so much money. The government just got a bunch of money to throw at everybody, but everybody else is poor as shit. Yeah, you know why? Because the government's taking everything. Okay? If you like the content, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe and the bell notification. And, anything to help the channel out. Not like I say, I'm calling it the way it is. I'm tired of listening to people and politicians tell me I'm not seeing what I'm seeing with my own eyes. I'm not seeing the businesses close. I'm not, car repossessions are up. House foreclosures are up. People, credit card debt is going delinquent more. States, over 36% of their citizens in the state are delinquent on their credit cards. This is the thing, people. In today's world, you need to get debt free. debt free. Like, I'm debt free. It's amazing the freedom you feel. Anyway, but I do feel bad about the farmers. The thing is, they make our food. Why should a farmer now? Farmers, they live pretty good. Okay, I've, like I said, been in agriculture a lot of my life. Farmers all drive new pickups, at least for their driving around town pickup, and then they got their work trucks. They all live in nice houses. Okay, but see, this is the thing. They all live on debt. They all got to sit there, most of them. I met some of them that have older equipment, everything's paid off, and they don't have to take an operating loan out at the beginning of the year so they can finance their farm the rest of the year. And those are the guys that have money. They just don't look like they have money. And then the farmers that look like they have money are owing it to because the bank keeps lending them money. And that's just a sad truth, people. But the thing is, I say if Saudi Arabia wants to, oil's dropping, but, people need to realize that food's pretty important, all right? But then again, I don't want to be paying, $10 for a box of cereal or $8 for a loaf of bread either, okay? We don't want to do that. Anyway, but like I said, I knew the part of it where you're just going to sit there and cut the Democrats down and put himself and the Republicans up on the pedestal, even when he's got Kash Patel making a bungling idiot of himself, Pam Bondi not doing a damn thing, and all this other stuff. But don't worry, the best things ever, right? But let's talk about a few things that he brought up where, okay, he said, talk about our country being safe. How safe Washington, D.C. is now, right? Did we just have 2 National Guard? One died and the other one, shot up in D.C. just before Thanksgiving? Carrying automatic weapons, or, I don't know what the new military weapon, if they have 3-round burst or if they're fully auto, they're semi-auto, I don't know. Yeah, gas is cheap. I can imagine that helps the big companies. The thing is that's like the stock market, okay? They always want to lower gas. Make sure the stock market's up and gas is down. Then people are happy. And they think people don't see everything in between. And that's what I'm saying. I'm out here in the real world. Small town USA, where people are struggling, and not even as much as the people in the big cities are struggling. I mean, my God, in the big city, if you got to make $8,000 to $10,000 a month just to survive, you need to move out where we're at, okay? You may not make as much money, but you'll find you'll have a lot more at the end of the day, all right? I hear what rent is out in California and stuff, and a year's rent out in California would buy a nice place here with probably 40 acres. And that's just rent. Like I say, where does he sit there and talk that the economy's so good? Say, if the economy is so good, then how come Americans can't afford to pay their bills? All we can afford to do is pay taxes. Anyway, but then he talked about D.C. being safe. National Guard guys being shot there. And that gal that got killed. All right? He did bring up nothing about the terrorist problem that this world's having right now. And that it seems like this country's, with the Brown Institute shooter, which they definitely don't want to sit there and let the truth come out about that one. I don't understand why it would be so hard to say that, it was a Palestinian Muslim extremist that was a professor here that lost his mind and, yelled Aloha snack bar and started shooting up the place. Are these people so messed in the head and want to be so politically correct that they can't say that? Boy, if it was a white guy, Hands down. The only time the white conservative guy, heterosexual clinging to his guns and Bible and takes care of his family, the only time we are going to get excited is when it comes time to take our country back. And you're going to find out what a real protest is. It's called a revolution. Anyway. Oh, yeah. But DC's safe, okay? Yeah, don't worry that you kicked out all the homeless. Don't worry that you got to sit there. You got rid of everything that shows that you're a lying piece of shit. Got rid of the homeless people. Got the military in DC now. Does that sound safe to you? Never talked about when the military was going to leave the streets either. I mean, we got military on the streets, and he's saying how much safer we are and how much money Americans have when Americans don't even have money to pay their bills. Okay. And then, talk about bringing peace to the Middle East. He brought peace to the Middle East after 3,000 years. I can't believe he even said that. I mean, they're still fighting over there. There ain't no peace. I mean, I guess as long as Israel's still bombing cities, it's just Israel doing it. That's peace. Okay? Then it's peace. If somebody starts bombing them back, then it's war. I cannot believe that he actually said he brought peace to the Middle East after 3,000 years. I mean, I'm still wondering if I heard that right. Can somebody tell me if I heard that right? It's called Get 'em Slapped. Okay? Hey, I appreciate everybody being here. Please hit that thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. If you want to donate a little bit, that'll be all right. Like I say, we got a lot of stuff to discuss. We got a lot of craziness in this country. But like I say, for that speech, I mean, the mega, woo, 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 woo. They're all excited. I can see them dancing around their living rooms now like it was a football game. And they just got all motivated. Being fed a line of crap on how everybody's just got money to burn these days. And Somalia can't be a shithole in the Middle East, be peaceful in the same time. I've been to Somalia. Yeah, you talk about shithole. I've seen it with my eyes. Built houses for those pieces of shit. And then they go drag our soldiers through the street in Black Hawk Down. Yeah, I was there that long ago. Anyway, I was there before the Black Hawk Down incident. Anyway, so yeah, he brought peace to the Middle East after 3,000 years. All I can say, all that reminds me of George Bush landing on that aircraft carrier, announcing that the Iraqi war's over. Everybody remember that? How'd that work out for him? Okay. And this is one where he says wages are increasing faster than inflation. And like I said before, everybody's wages would have to go up 50% just to get up to the level that inflation has gone up over the last, since he was president the first time. You know, he talks about how great he's doing this time. Why'd you do that last time? I mean, like forget that he was president before. And he's just greater than greater now. I'm just sick of, wings of the same bird, people, wings of the same bird. Okay? And like now, right now in D.C., he's probably having, cocktails with Chuck Schumer, and Bill Gates is in there talking about the one-fits-all, pokey poke, and all this shit, just like All-Star Wrestling. That's all it is. All he was out there tonight was to motivate his base. That's what it was about, motivating his base, because he realizes that his base is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And he can get them all excited tonight, but tomorrow they're going to have to wake up to reality, okay? But gas is down. Okay, and then he's talking about how our economy, we're the hottest country in the world, our economy is doing so great. Good, then why are we still going in debt? If this country's making so much money, then why are we still going in debt? Heck, if we're making so much money, we should be able to pay off the debt. And, I don't believe that for a second. And if it is, I don't believe it. If we were making so much money, Americans would have money to pay their bills, and banks and financial institutions wouldn't be hurting, like credit card companies and stuff, because people can't pay the money they owe back. It's a crock of shit. But like you say, it sounded good. He presented it in a way where he's yelling, but he's not yelling. You notice how he talks? He talks powerful. All right? And then I do the same thing out here, and I get told to settle down by MAGA, right? Anyway, 38 trillion now in debt. You get the point. And yeah, when we went into debt, $1 trillion in this count, what year it was? It was October 1983, during Reagan's years, when he was trying to outspend the Russians so their economy would collapse. We finally went $1 trillion in debt. And like I say, I was watching the news during that time. And I remember how every Democrat saying, oh my God, the country's going to fail now. It's just going to absolutely collapse. Because that was $1 trillion in debt 42 years ago. Look at all the debt we created then, right? And back, it was 5 years ago, they were saying if gold hits 2,500, our economy's just going to collapse and stuff. Well, now we're at 4,500. They just changed the definition, change how they teach economics. That's all they do. I mean, they got it to where debt is an asset now. If my teacher in economics would have told me that, I'd have said, explain that to me. Somebody owing you money doesn't make it an asset. When they pay it off, okay, what happens when they stop making payments? Your asset, what happens? It's no longer an asset now. Now it's a liability. Anyway, I don't know how they teach economics these days, but like I say, they just change everything. The definition of everything. They just teach it differently. So us old folks are looking at it like, I don't quite understand that. Like the way they do math now, guesstimating on division, because kids don't know their simple times, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. They don't know their basic tables, so they got to guesstimate now. Anyway, and then Trump RX. Okay, number one, he blames Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, on the Democrats. I beg to differ 100%. And people may say, well, how can you say that? Easy. Didn't it go to the Supreme Court? Yes, it did. And what was the deciding vote in the Supreme Court? That would be dumbass Chief Justice Roberts, because he said it was a tax. So we don't have to blame the Democrats. It's now on the shoulders of the Supreme Court because they deemed it constitutional. Okay? I just want to remind everybody of that. I wish it would go back to the medical system we had when I was young. My mom took us to the doctor that had an office downtown, not in the hospital, his own private office. And we went to the doctor when we were sick. And, if you needed medication, you got a week or 10 days worth. That was only once you had to take for a week or 10 days. And then my mom wrote a check to the nurse there, his nurse, and paid for the bill right away. Boy, you want to cut costs in the medical? Get the insurance company out of there. I mean, you're keeping two businesses going. Instead of just a doctor in a hospital, now you're dealing keeping the insurance company going. And then they're making the decisions on what treatment you get. This is the thing, people. Stay healthy. I'm 58, don't have to take no pills, haven't gone to the doctor well over 20 years. Health is wealth. All you wealthy people, I mean, you guys are paying an average of $27,000 a year in medical insurance. $27,000 a year. That's more than any house payment per year I've ever made by far. Get a membership to the gym. Start walking along the streets. Get rid of some of your bad habits. And always push yourself to excel more than you did the day before. Get a chart and have a goal chart. Okay? Always push yourself a little harder. And you'll find out how healthy you'll be. Like I say, why would the doctor want to make it so you didn't have to come back to him? But then this Trump RX bringing drug prescription costs down. We're a healthy nation, right? We're just the most addicted to drugs, take the most drugs, spend the most on healthcare, but we're the healthiest nation in the world. Who the fuck believes that shit? That don't even make sense. But Trump RX, that guy's got ego and a half. Ego and a half. But this is the thing. Get the government and the insurance companies out of the healthcare industry. Period. Now I say when you turn 65 and you never filled out a government form for assistance ever in your life, and the first thing you do when you're 65 is go to the Social Security office so they can determine and control your medical, your retirement, and everything. You know, they need to have it, hey, at 65, I don't want you in my life. I want my lump sum back, and I'll take care of my own stuff. But they need to get the government out of healthcare completely. Politicians and insurance companies are not doctors. The doctor is the one who should be making the decision on your treatment. And then with these insurance companies, I just had a friend. $15,500 on a colonoscopy to find nothing wrong with him, just because they wanted to run the test. $15,500. It's one thing I will say. When Obama was talking about Obamacare, and he was talking about how doctors were scamming people to sit there and get more money out of them, you know, running procedures they didn't need to run and stuff, right? And I said, bullshit. You know, I've been to a doctor in a few years since then. But in the 90s, they would have never done that. Oh, hell yeah. He was right. But Obamacare didn't help it. It just made it worse. But, you know, you want to fix the problem, like I say, get the government and insurance company out of the your medical, and it'll get a lot cheaper. You know what pays the cheapest for medical insurance? For medical? Rich people. Rich people that don't have to have insurance because they can pay everything in cash as they leave. Plus, they get a discount for paying cash. All this is to screw the hardworking guy over. You know, us hardworking guys that we just got told we got so much money, we got money to burn. Where does he see this? Like I said, car repossessions are up, house foreclosures are up, credit card delinquencies up. People are borrowing money to buy groceries. He's talking about eggs are down from March. Well, no shit. Down from what? $10 a dozen, $12 a dozen. That's what they're down from. Oh my God, gas is down. Hurrah, hurrah. Yeah, we've been overpaying for gas since it got over $1.50 a gallon. You mean we're going to finally get to the point we're only overpaying a little bit? See, I remember gas when it was under $1 a gallon. Then down south in the southwest or the southeast, there were some places where it was 60 some cents a gallon. And this was still in the 80s, late 80s. That's crazy. 5 gallon, you say that $1.25, $1.20, $1.25 for quite a few years, but still, you got 4 gallons for $5. You know why nobody spends any money in the convenience store anymore? Because they're spending $100 to fill up the freaking tank. Anyway, like I say, health is wealth. And like I say, it's the Supreme Court's fault that Obamacare was considered constitutional. It could have stopped right there. Now, I'm exempt from it because I got the VA, so I ain't got to worry about being penalized or any of that stupid shit. But whatever. Okay. And then he's talking about illegals that took jobs from Americans, right? He actually said about illegals that took jobs from Americans and created a housing crisis and all that stuff, which we all agree with. But weren't you talking not too long ago, Trump, about giving amnesty to illegal aliens that were doing agricultural and hospitality type work because we couldn't get Americans to do it? I mean, do you forget you said all this stuff? And you notice he didn't talk about the H-1B visa workers. 50 plus million in this country. 71% Indians. Didn't talk about it a bit, did he? Talks about bringing American jobs or jobs back to America. What did he say? 17 trillion, 18 trillion dollars in investments and new jobs for who? Americans or H-1B visa workers or illegals? Which one is it? Or AI jobs? Which one is it? He never said whatever. Just a question, Mr. Trump. Just a question. He didn't really clarify on that. Like I say, we need to kick out the H-1B visas out of this country. Kick out the illegals out of this, all of them. I mean, he's never, what are you going to be in power for? 40 years, Trump, to get rid of them all? Like you say, all of us Americans says we don't need the government's permission for this. The government don't want to do it. Round up the illegals in your area. Call the INS and say, I got a bunch of you. They cannot sit there and arrest you for rounding up illegals in this country, doing their fucking job. Call them up and say, get them the fuck out of here. Get just like in your town or your county or your township, whichever your local governing body is, and clean it up. But see, that would solve the problem then. And then he could get on TV like this and sit there, woo, 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 shake his pom-poms and get the mega all excited and stuff. Like you say, Mega's going to have to wake up tomorrow morning, just like the rest of us, and deal with the same problems we got to deal with tomorrow, just like the rest of us. Okay? All right. Then he talked about Minnesota and Tim Walz. All right? That's another one. Tim Walz is guilty of all that stuff, what she is. How come he's not in jail? How come he's not in jail? You know, the average little civilian, us would be in jail until they investigate it. You know, we would be definitely been in court, but not him. Billions of dollars. And like I say, I'm from Minnesota. That's why I got the hell out of there. The Somalians have taken over. And I'm not just talking the big city. I grew up in small town, little town, southwestern Minnesota. Actually went to school in Walnut Grove, Minnesota for 2 years. And all that area is being taken over by Somalians. Redwood Falls, the county seat for the county that Redwood's in, all taken over by Somalians. And it's amazing they can drive around in their cars with their windows so tinted it's black. And they got the Indian reservation there, right? But if you're a white guy or Indian, and I'm talking a Native American, the Lower Sioux Agency there, you can't do that. Okay? I mean, the Native Americans and the whites are being so discriminated in that town against because they're taking over. Anyway, got family that lives just north of the town. I used to go, that's where our fair was. I grew up in Redwood County, the county fair. It's changed so much. I mean, how many busloads of foreigners do you have to bring into a town of 800 before it's overwhelmed? And like I say, Tim Walz, they're speaking 50 different languages in Worthington, Minnesota at the school. And he's so proud of that. Like you say, how many people do you think what the population of Worthington is? Boy, you think at least be 1 million people. It's about 6,000. That means there's probably a little bit over 1,200 students in the school system. 50 different languages. And they're proud of that. And the only reason Worthington's that big is because it's along Interstate 90. Yeah, I've been through there many times. Sit there and talk this crap, but the average, Americans are like, that sounds great to me. That's diverse. Can you imagine what it's like teaching in Worthington with let's say the high school's 500 kids, 50 different languages being spoken in the high school? How the hell do you put on a school play? But like I say, Trump will cut him down, accuse him of all this shit, but he's still running free, still governor of Minnesota. They stole billions of dollars. Where do you think all that money went to? A lot of that money went to Somalia. We're doing foreign aid by them ripping us off in our country. And then what's another thing that Tim Walz might be, a little bit messed up in? Everybody remember that Minnesota shooter a few months ago that killed those, one was a state senator, state rep and stuff, and her husband. Well, anyway, shot a few people that were politicians and their families and said that. And then Tim Walz said Tim Walz did it and wanted her to kill Amy Klobuchar too so he could run for her Senate seat. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that? It got nowhere. But like I said, Trump, you want to throw these, if he was saying that about me, that I had did all this stuff, as a simple man, if I was rich and powerful enough as a simple man to be able to break the crimes that these sons of bitches break, okay? Don't you think the FBI would be knocking on my door right now? You need to come out here, Hidden Truths. We got a few questions for you. I agree with you. More should be done. Maybe Trump is nervous. The left will become more radical. I don't know. He's making the right pretty radical too. You can't be scared of that. I was supposed to go to my death. Whatever, I was supposed to do, did what I was told, and if my death resulted from that, I wasn't allowed to be afraid of that. Trump needs to if you can't handle the fire, then, don't jump in the pan to get fried. They run for this job voluntarily. They don't got the balls to do it. They shouldn't do it. That's what I'm saying. We ain't going to have a politician ain't going to straighten up our world. It's going to be some guy or woman who went to work every day, toughen themselves up, and ain't afraid of what nobody thinks of them, there to get the job done, and then go back home and continue on with their life. Not somebody's going to live in D.C. like Joe Biden almost all their life. Donald Trump sure isn't spending too much time there himself. Anyway, and then his closing statement. Oh, loyalty to our citizens. That's why I said that. Loyalty to our citizens. Kind of like he owns us, huh? Loyalty to our citizens. Strange way of saying that. That thing stopped me in the cold. I didn't really hear the rest of the closing. I heard he talked about how we're going to sit there and achieve new heights and go on to our America's destiny, or however he said it. But loyal to our citizens. Anyway, like I say, they don't think they're servants of us people. They don't think for a second they're our servants. I mean, they don't think for a second they're our servants. They think they're our masters, okay? And that's why people say, oh, be grateful you got this. So the government can go around and say, be grateful. We allowed you to eat this month. Be grateful. You got heat for at least 2 weeks out of this winter. Be grateful. Whatever. Like I say, I'm sure Mega's all happy. It was a rallying campaign. Woo, 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 woo. We did all this. We're so great. And the average American citizen's like, did he just say I had money to burn? Anyway, and the dollar's becoming worthless. And, Trump, gas may be going down, but the money we're saving on gas, we're just going to the grocery store and spending that money. So it's not like it's staying in our pocket. Okay? And like I say, a country that produces enough food in 1 year to feed our population for 4 years, why are we paying so much for food? I mean, I can see paying for exotic foods that we can't grow in the United States between, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, I guess you could say, the United States and Alaska, but whatever. I just don't understand it. That's one thing I like to ask the president. Like I say, how come food's so expensive? Well, we got it in an abundance. Okay? The rules of supply and demand. If the demand stays the same and the supply is 4 times of what we need, the price should at least drop by 50%, if not 75. Anyway, but that's math. We won't get into that. Anyway, but that's all I got for this evening. Like I said, I love my beef. It's too expensive. This is one thing about out here, Jeff. We still got meat lockers, and a lot of people still process their own meat. I mean, I've seen places in people's garages and stuff, stainless steel, hooks on reefers and stuff. Serious, they take care of their own meat. But then around here we have meat lockers. I mean, it comes in the back door on the hoof, gets processed in the building. That means the hamburger I get, there's just 1 cow in that hamburger, not 1,000 cows from 10 different countries. Okay, I got a video, Jeff, I did of this pork chop I cooked the other day, a short I did. I mean, this pork chop was 1 inch thick, big as a steak, and oh my God, was it tender. And the prices we pay is at least 30% cheaper than what you're paying in the big city or whatever, if not more. Okay? Fresh beef, pork. That's one of the benefits of living out here where we produce the food. We get first pick. And we do eat good out here. Okay, well, you guys want your oil. We'll be stuffing our faces full of steak and baked potatoes, okay? Anyway, hey, how's everything? Nicholas McCoy, I appreciate you being here. Hey, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. And there is a little, donation button there, super chat if you want. Ask me a question. Like it doesn't matter. Okay. VA needs more resources. I am friends with some vets. The thing is about the VA, okay, like I say, health is wealth. And, when we were in the military, they taught us how to stay in shape. And, if you stayed that way, you don't have to worry about it. But, yeah, the VA lacks resources. I go to Hot Springs in South Dakota. That's an awesome VA. I mean, I was just an NCO, a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and they treat me like I'm a damn general. I was a general. I love that place. It's awesome. But anyway, but yeah, the speech, I knew it was going to be nothing burger. Nothing about Venezuela. Nothing about blowing up these boats, the blockade, confiscating Venezuelan property with the oil and the ship, and confiscating both of it. It's just bad news, people. Like I say, you think your money in your bank account is safe and it can never be seized and given to a third party so they can spend it as they please? Just ask Russia and the other financial assets that have been seized that they plan on giving to Ukraine so they can use it as they please to kill Russians. We don't even own our own money, people. That's why they don't want anybody owning gold or silver. That's why they made it illegal for a while, because you don't own your own money, but gold and silver, you're holding it, you own that. And there's nothing the government can come between you and your gold and silver, unless it's at the point of a gun, which I'm sure they would try. They wouldn't have a single problem with that now, would they? But anyway, like I say, Trump's speech was nothing burger, nothing about the E-list, nothing to be seen there, okay? I still, it's supposed to come out Friday, right? I want to see what a hoax looks like when they release a hocus pocus hoax. A hocus pocus hoax. I can't wait to see that magic trick. Like I said, if I was a stand-up comedian, I could be so funny. It's just the material that our politicians give us. But don't worry, Trump. It's all the Democrats' fault. Us Republicans are all great. Even though I'm still putting us in debt, I'm giving you guys some of the money, okay? Because I have to. Because we print it. We just can't leave it in a vault back there. We got to make sure it gets into people's hands so they spend it. So we give $12 billion to the farmers. I'm sorry. We got foreign aid that we give them money. No, we just give them money around. And then they start spending it. And it makes the American dollar look great. I wonder how much money they're spending every day to hold gold and silver down. I got a feeling, everybody, that after the first of the year, gold and silver are going to go nuts. Because over the past month, gold and silver has been gradually going up. They've been holding it down, but it seems like it goes up $10, $20, $30 every day. It's been doing that. And now it's hovering around the 4,400 mark. There's going to be a point in the way silver is going up. There's going to be a point where there's a psychological break, because the whole world lives on credit. A trucking company lives on credit to buy its fuel. Okay? Companies live on credit to pay their employees. When gold hits that psychological point where the big money realizes credit's no good no more, because money's no good no more, and the credit markets freeze up, and it's going to happen quick. Like a matter of like I say, it's going to happen as fast as everybody realized we ran out of toilet paper. That's what happened in 2008, and they saved it from going. But the bubble now, compared to 2008, is so much bigger. Okay? And a lot of our debt from overseas is coming back home. And they gotta, they just can't bring it back home and it's sitting in a vault somewhere. It's got to go get into the money supply. So people are spending it, making it go from this hand to this hand over to the next person's hand. If it's sitting in a safe, that can't happen. Anyway, just prepare. I know everybody's enjoying the holidays, but don't spend your whole wad. Spend a little bit. The best Christmas gift you can give to your family is the ability for them to survive through the next year. Just remember that. So anyway, but according to Trump, we all got money to burn. Maybe it's because our money ain't worth nothing but starting to fire. Anyway, that's all I got for this evening. Appreciate everybody being here. Say, check out my other content if you would. Hit the thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. Help the channel grow. Every little bit helps. And, like I say, tomorrow Mega's going to have to, they're all on their high right now. Woo! Trump got the whole base motivated. And they're going to have to wake up tomorrow morning and see, oh, shit. Gas is down. Just don't go to the grocery store. Anyway, just whatever. That's our new politics today. Nothing but a political speech to get his base excited. That's all it was. Bunch of bullshit. At least from the working man, okay? And like when Biden would get in there and say the same stupid shit about how the economy's doing so great. And we all knew better. It's just same shit, different guys saying it. That's all it is. But we all get to suffer. Let them eat cake. That's all I hear from these fucking people. I tell you what, just before I leave here, this is happening all over the world. I heard an Australian, I watch other people from other countries, but I ran across this Australian today. He sounded like me. I mean, he's talking about the problems in his country and what they're having to put up after this shooting. And it's just, it's like, dude, this is America too. It's no different. This is why I say these elites are all in cahoots with each other because what's happening to one Western country is happening to all of them the same way. Whether it be Germany, France, England, Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada. Anywhere America has its influence, it's happening. That's the easiest way to put it. But I was listening to that Australian guy, and I had some Australian guy in here on my live stream a couple days ago. And it's messed up there. At least we have the Second Amendment. Our founding fathers gave us a miracle from God, giving us the Second Amendment. But they still couldn't give us the will to use it. Anyway, and that's the point we're at, where people have to suffer more, I guess, so we can get the will to use the Second Amendment. But anyway, DC's a lot safer, people, unless you're a National Guard person. I can't believe he actually said that. Anyway, and loyal to our citizens. I am property of the government. I was when I was in the Marine Corps. I am no longer property of the government. The cancer is spreading. I know. It's getting terrible. People are rooting it out. I don't understand it. Like I say, I really feel when America ran out of toilet paper, Americans lost their minds. And a lot of them haven't regained it. Me, I was a prepper. I had months worth of toilet paper. That's one thing nice about being a prepper. you don't have to panic. Okay, you can sit there and eat your popcorn and drink your beverage as you watch everybody else panic and laugh at it. Anyway, just different ways people are brought up. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Like I said, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Come back for I put out a lot of content. If you want to subscribe, I appreciate it. And anything to help the channel grow both. So I want to do more stuff on YouTube, but it takes up time and it doesn't pay all that well. Once I get monetized for commercials, it'll change a lot better. And according to one total, I'm way past the hour, but I got disconnected. But according to my pay page, I've just made enough hours to get super. But anyway, yeah, it's the day's going to come when everybody's going to sit there and realize millions of me all over the country. And that's when our government is going to have to fear, okay? But right now, you say, you got people believing this stuff? Look down Main Street and tell me you see businesses closing. You can't pay your bills. Your neighbor's car is getting repossessed. And you're going to believe what was said tonight? Where's all the money? What was it, Jerry Maguire, Tom Hanks, or who was in that movie? The football player. Anyway, that movie. Where's the money? Where's the money? Kind of like the old ladies in the 80s commercial. Where's the beef? Because the American citizen ain't seeing shit what you're talking about. We aren't. And all they can do is advertise, go into debt more, go into debt more. If Americans would stop borrowing money, stop taking out loans, pay your loans back, but stop taking loans out for 1 quarter. Nobody borrow a single dime from a bank or financial institution. Just people lived within their means, didn't borrow no money. Whoo! You're talking about a hurting the elites would sit there and make them extremely upset. So, but then again, you'd need Americans to come together, kind of like we did after 9/11. And now we got a Muslim mayor in New York City, communist Muslim mayor. That doesn't sound like progress to me. It sounds like progressivism. Anyway, but I've been on here an hour, but like I say, the Trump speech, a nothing burger, nothing but rallying the base at the expense of the Democrats and like I say, being a YouTuber now, I decided I'm going to force myself to listen to it. I'm going to sit through it. Like I say, I want it to go like, oh, can I please fast forward this? God, can we get past the part where he's sitting there making his ego bigger and bigger? I did this. I did this. That's the shit Hitler used to say. I don't want to compare him to Hitler, but that's the way Hitler used to talk. I did this. I conquered Europe all by myself. Like nobody underneath them even fucking matters. Especially us little people that they're going to be loyal to us, our citizens. My God. Anyway. Whew. It's got to be tough being a reporter. All I know is at least there wasn't no 4-hour speech. That would have been hard to deal with. Anyway, appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate all the support. Like I say, check out the rest of my channel, my content. Share the video, share the short. Check out my Trump's response to Rob Reiner's passing. Read the comments. It's interesting. Anyway, appreciate everybody being here. And I'll be back tomorrow night with another live stream. Anyway, this is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.